The Podbreed Network is strictly for the small podcasts that are up and coming in the vast world of podcasting. Podbreed is made up of many diverse podcasts coming together to achieve the same goal of being the best damn podcast network on the planet. Find out more at podbreed.com.
This is Mike Tyson. You listen to the XY show, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's going to be ecstatic.
The opinions expressed on the X and Y show are the sole opinions of the host. Please note, there is no intentional desire to offend any member of the listening audience. With that said, if you still feel offended, tough shit.
It's time for the X and Y show. With your host, Mr. Roosevelt. He talks about man topics, lady topics, and relationships. He talks about love, sex, and infidelities. He even gives good tips. There is no other show that compares to the X and Y show.
Oh yeah, sit back, take your clothes off, and relax. It's time for the X and Y show, where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. The only place on the planet that tackles the topics that everyone wants to talk about, but no one is brave enough to address. Nothing escapes X and Y, baby. Now, here's your host, Roosevelt Colbert.
And greetings. Welcome to another segment of the XY Show. And I'm your host, Roosevelt. Welcome. Today is Super Bowl Eve. So tomorrow's the Super Bowl, and I'm very excited about it, even though my team didn't make it. And I fucked up in fantasy this year. Well, I won one, but not the big one. I won. I ain't going to say nothing. The IRS might be listening. Never know. Getting a letter in the mail. We didn't get. You didn't claim that on your taxes. So I won $1, but I didn't win the big one because all that shit that happened and that season getting cut short and all that shit that happened. So I got fucked, but tomorrow's the last day of the football season, and probably won't watch sports until the football season come back. Cause I don't really roll with basketball like I used to. I used to watch it a lot, but it's just not as good as it used to be. So tomorrow, usually that's from the time where I pick up my reading when football season goes away. Because there's nothing to do, So it's a good time to catch up on your reading, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, there was a thing this week. Some lady did something. She made a posting that men can find out how their ladies roll as far as cleanliness goes. All they have to do is go through the dirty clothes Hampton of the girl who they're dating, and they can find out, how clean the women are. Now, me personally, I'm not going to do that. That's disgusting. I'm not going to go through anyone's dirty clothes, let alone their dirty drawers. But some guys agree with it. Some women went crazy, ballistic, saying that's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was interesting how a woman can make a post about going through dirty clothes just to, if you want to really know how clean a woman is and how much buzz that it got. Everybody was in a ruckus over that shit. And to each his own. I have my own methods to see how clean a woman is. And I don't have to go in a dirty clothes. I just, somehow in the conversation, when we're talking, I found out how many showers that they take a day or baths. right? If they say they only take one bath a day or one shower a day, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. That's enough for me. I don't need to hear anything else. That's it. Especially now that I'm older. Back in the day, it would have been like, I didn't give a fuck. But now that I'm older, no. I can't do that. So when a woman tells me, I only take one shower a day, and it's either like before bed or only in the morning before work, that's a no. That's it. We can't rock. We can't rock. I know a lot of you guys are saying, that's Roosevelt, you shouldn't do that. They can always change. Nah, not really. Maybe for a little while. But if it's not in a person to be a certain way, they're not going to change for nobody. They're not going to change just because I want her to bathe her ass twice a day, maybe 3 times in the summer. Get a little hot. There's no woman going to do that, accommodate that. No way. They're not going to change. And they shouldn't have to. That's them. But that's not me. So we can't kick it. So that's what I do. I don't have to be going through no dirty clothes, smelling drawers, smelling dirty drawers and seeing how dirty the crouch is and all that shit. I don't have to do all that shit. I'm not doing that. That's disgusting. Just it's simple. How many baths do you take a day? How many showers? That's all I got to do. That's enough for me. If they say 2 times a day, we good. If they come with that 1 time a day shit, we can't rock. I don't care how fine she is. But you know what? Normally that I've been finding, very attractive women, very attractive. I mean, this is what I'm finding. Usually they take at least 2 showers a day or 2 baths. They wash their ass 2 times a day. Usually women who are like average to below average, those are the ones who don't bathe their asses. Now there's always exceptions to the rule, but that's what I find. So each person is different. You just got to find who's good for you. That's how I do it. That's how I test a woman's cleanliness on how the amount of showers and / baths she takes a day. That means a lot. A woman that takes 2 showers and baths a day, she's good. A woman that takes only 1 shower a day, no, that's bad. That's a big sign. That says a lot about a woman and a man, but I'm not dating men, so I don't give a fuck how many showers a day they take. that ain't how I roll. But a woman, that's how I do it. I'm not going through no dirty drawers and but anyway, I just thought that was interesting. All right. So this week I'm gonna piss a lot of people off, particularly women, but I don't give a fuck about that. This is the X and Y show where I talk about shit sometimes that piss people off. Piss the exes off sometimes, pisses the Ys off sometimes. I had guys coming to me asking me for my man card for helping women out on some shit. I said, man, you be saying too much, man. So I get it from both sides. And I can't win, so I don't give a fuck. I don't try to win. I say what I have to say, and that's it. Fuck it. So today, I'm doing a show on feminism. Feminism is ruining traditional families. And I think that feminism is ruining traditional families. And that's why so many women are walking around today who are single and miserable because they are not finding enough men. They're already a deficit of men to women anyway. But when you're trying to find a man that adhere to that bullshit, feminists try to put on men, that even decreases their chances of getting married even more. There was a study saying that men who are feminists have wonderful relationships with women. And that's understandable because the men are acting like bitches, right? So that's what they are looking for, basically. Feminists are looking for men who act like bitches. And there's a lot of men that don't act like bitches. So that's why a lot of women who are feminists, who are walking around alone, miserable, sexually frustrated, etc., etc. Now, before I get too deep in this episode, I want you to know that I'm not against women's rights. That's totally different things. I don't believe that women should get paid less. I don't believe in that women are lesser beings or all that kind of shit. So don't be putting that shit in my mouth. That's not what I'm saying. And with feminists, is always one extreme to another. Either you with them or you're not. It's like the Sith. Two absolutes and shit. If you're not with them, then you're against them. So don't be putting all that bullshit into what I'm saying. I hate women and I'm misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. I'm not all of that. I'm just saying what I think, what it is. Feminists are ruining the notion of traditional marriages. In 1920, the marriage rate was 92.3%. And this was a study done by Bowling Green University. So you can look it up. 1920, the marriage rate was 92.3%. In 2010, when they did the study, that's when they stopped the study, the marriage rate was 31.1%. Let me say that again. 1920, the marriage rate was 92.3%. I mean, pretty much everyone was getting married. In 2010, a little over 13 years ago, it was 31.1%. And I would bet today is probably the same or worse today. It's gotten no better. Now, many people give credit to like three authors back in the 70s who wrote books on, feminists and different perspectives from politics to sexuality and, et cetera, et cetera. Shulamith Firestone, she wrote a book on dialectic of sex in 1970. Kate Mullith wrote a book on sexual politics. And Germaine Greer wrote a book on the female I can't read that, what it says. It's font too small, but they were all best-selling authors back in the 70s. I plan on reading the books, actually. I'm going to get all three of them and read them just to get their perspectives, how it was back in the 70s. But a lot of them say that they were the, I guess, mothers of feminist movement, back in the 70s. And what we see today, that's what it has turned into. So it'd be kind of interesting to see the perspective of people that, whether you believe that they're the mother of feminists or not, but they are the ones who are definitely in the thick of things when it first became a mainstream topic. So I'm going to read all three of those books and, see what they were thinking like. And two of those women are dead. The only one that is living is Jermaine Greer. Gallimore Firestone, she died alone, and she was thought to be dead over a month before someone found her. And I say that because, these women, Jermaine Greer, she was married from 68 to 73, and she hasn't been born since 73, married or whatever. Now, I'm not saying she ain't been fucking, but she hasn't been married again since 73, and she's 84 now. The other lady died alone. So, is it worth it? That's what my point is. A lot of feminists hate the notion of marriage so much they cheat themselves out of happiness. And I'm not saying that you have to be married to be happy, but it's a better chance being happy when you're married than you being happy when you're single. Fuck that. I don't care what nobody say. Nobody wants to be single. And, so that, from the 1970s until now, when the 1970s, when it was born, to now, you're reaping the results of that feminist movement. So you have all these women walking around fucked up in the head because they were raised by the women who were reading those books back then and who were listening to the feminists speak back then at the universities. The women who are single today their mothers were the ones who were listening to these women in person and going to universities to hear them speak. So this is what we have at the results of that bullshit. And I call it bullshit because that's what it is. Feminists, the first thing that they will say is they don't hate men. And when they say that, watch out. Because that's exactly what feminism is. You can try to have all these high-powered definitions and synonyms and all that shit. It just means that they hate men. They hate what men stand for. And they hate the power of men. That's all. Stop bullshitting. Call it what it is. Say what you really feel. And so that's why a lot of women who are feminists, quote unquote feminists, they don't get married because they don't find a man, first of all, who would adhere to that bullshit, taking a role of being number two. A lot of women, feminists say they want just equality. That's bullshit. They want to be number one. They want to be in control. So they don't find, there's not enough men walking, there's not enough bitch ass dudes walking around that, adhere to the ideas of feminism. So a lot of these feminists are walking around alone, angry, radicalized, sexually frustrated in society. And these are the ones who we, the single man, are to choose from in a single pool to be potential wives. And so that's why a lot of men are not getting married as well, because it's not that men don't want to be married. It's like, if I have to pick from this pool, fuck it, I'll just stay alone. I'll just wait till I'm in the old folks' home and get my Jell-O and play bingo all day. I got to deal with this. I got to be submissive. I got to bow down to my wife. Or bow down to my girlfriend, Fuck this. I'll stay single. So that's why I believe that feminism is ruining the traditional families, because no one is getting married anymore. No one is getting married anymore because of these fucked up women walking around looking for bitch ass dudes. There's not enough of them, so They don't get married. Men, they're so crazy as hell. Men don't want to marry them, so nobody's getting married. So we have a bunch of people that's not married or having children out of wedlock, which is another problem in its own. So that feminism root back to shit that's just fucking up the American family. I had this woman in Atlanta one time told me, now she was a feminist, and you know I'm not hearing that bullshit. But she basically told me to my face, you can't do anything for me but give me a baby. And, I was in my late 20s then. And, I was like, what did you say? I'm she was like, you can't do nothing for me but give me a baby. You can't do nothing for me. And I was like, standing there trying to process all this shit. He said, I have a job. I have a career. I have an education. I don't need you. That's what she said. That's what she said. She said, the only thing she need me for is a baby. And she said, if I act crazy on that, she just go to a bank and get sperm. So that, that's what we are looked like, that's how women who are of the feminist movement look at men, as free sperm banks. That's all. A lot of women claim that they don't need men. That's part of the problem. They don't need men. They think men are insignificant, not important. They just serve a purpose. And so that's why a lot of women are not getting married, because they take a notion and they're believing all this shit. That men are not important. They don't need men. Men are insignificant. They already have an education. They already have their own money. They already have their own house. What they need a man for? And that roots back into that feminist movement. If you get married, be in control. Be the leader. Or at the very least, be equal. Don't let that man push you around. So, it's a very sad existence in today's society. Most feminists, they either wanted marriage, the notion of marriage, either reformed or they want it abolished, totally, depending on what feminist you're talking to. But there's pretty much only two types. Now, some would come with the bullshit that we want equality or women should be equal. And that's bullshit. They don't really believe that. That's just a soft landing. That's how they okie dokie. They don't believe. A true feminist do not believe in equality. I said it. Let's stop with the bullshit. And I challenge any feminist that's listening to this, which they probably won't listen to my show. But I challenge any feminist to come on here and say that they believe in equality. Get the fuck out of here. They believe that they should be in charge. They are the number one leaders. They should be over men. And they're looking for a feminist to be successful in a marriage. Normally, if you see a feminist that is in a marriage, that's 9 times out of 10, the husband is a bitch. He's someone that is taking on the submissive role in the relationship or marriage and is glad to do so. So they get along because the woman is running shit. But a real man does not adhere to that feminist bullshit. And that's why so many women are walking around single. And it's going to be that way because a lot of women are not going to change. They'll go to their graves, looking for that submissive bitch. And there's just not enough of them walking around. And men, on the other hand, if I got to be choosing out of this pool, then fuck it, I'll stay single. I don't need these problems. And as a result, the traditional families is being ruined because nobody's getting married. Nobody's getting married. Nobody's having children. If they do have children, they're having them out of wedlock. So there's not a two-parent household, single-parent household. And then you have that feminist cycle going further because the ladies is teaching their daughters that bullshit, or their sons teaching them how to be submissive bitches. So the cycle continues. So yeah, I believe that feminists are ruining the traditional families. I think that it's a problem bigger than what anyone is willing to admit. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of women out there that's not ever going to be married. There's a lot of women out there that's not going to experience motherhood. There's a lot of men out there that's not going to experience fatherhood or ever get married because of that feminist movement bullshit. It affects both sides, the X and the Y. And it's ruining this country. Now, back in the 70s when it was a feminist movement, I think it got cross-wired with a lot of shit because women simply didn't have a lot of rights back then. And like I said before the show started, I have nothing against women voting or women getting paid the same. That's not what I'm saying. So, women's rights, I'm an advocate. I believe that they should have rights. Women should be able to vote. Women should be paid the same, equally. I don't look at women in the professional realm any differently than a man. But when it comes to family, when it comes to being the leader of a household, I'm a traditionalist. A man is in charge. A man is the leader. A man is the king. There's no co-kings. There's no two rulers in a family. There's one king, only one. The man. The man is the leader. And until women find it or find the power or find a determination, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to submit to that. And I said submit. That's what I did. I said it. Until women are willing to submit and be the number two, be in your proper place. You're the queen. You're not the king. You're the queen. Until women are willing to submit and take their roles, society will continue to be fucked up. And I say it will continue to be fucked up because there's no traditional families. Nobody will be getting married. If you think it's 31.1%, what I should have done is see what the marriage rate was today, but I got lazy. But I guarantee you, if it's 31, I think I read somewhere today is like 26%, but don't quote me on that. But it's not going to get any better. You're not going to have the traditional families anymore. You're not going to see. When I grew up, everyone on my street was married. Everybody. I mean, the whole neighborhood, pretty much. I have to really, if somebody say, I mean, you think about the single parents that grew up in your neighborhood, I have to really think. about the single parents that grew up in my neighborhood. I mean, I'm serious. I have to really think, like, damn, I want to play the street over, no, okay, the street up and the street down. Because I came from a neighborhood where everybody knew each other. You know, it wasn't a small town. It was like a neighborhood where everybody knew each other. It was a very unique neighborhood. It was very good. But I can't think of right off the top of my head. I'm sure there were, but it wasn't common. It was not common. Whereas today, you see a single parent, nobody thinks twice. See a woman with kids, no husband, no big deal. That's the way of the world, and that's the problem. And as long as this feminist bullshit is floating around and a lot of women are going around looking for men who will submit to them, it's going to be that way. It's going to continue to get worse. Nobody's getting married. Nobody's having children in 2-parent households. You have a lot of good women never being married, never being mothers, growing old, because they can't find anyone to submit to them and submit to their feminist ideas. Men, you got a lot of good brothers and a lot of good guys out there who will never get married, never have kids, because they would rather stay alone than deal with that bullshit. So feminism is fucking up our society. I'll go ahead and say it. And every woman that classify themselves as feminist, to me, that's a synonym of being a crazy bitch. I said it. I don't give a fuck. You know I don't give a fuck. I said it. That's the way I see it. And I don't pull no punches because they are fucking up our society. But that crazy bullshit. So my advice to you ladies, if you consider yourself to be a feminist, drop that shit immediately. You're not going to find a man that submit to you. You're not going to find a man that will submit to you. You're not going to find a man that will submit to you. No man, no real man is going to be a submissive motherfucker in a relationship or relinquish his leadership to a woman in a family. Oh, my mom's running things. Let me go ask mom. Mom's the leader. The fuck out of here. No real man is going to do that, ladies. So women, you're having problems getting married and finding a boyfriend, finding a husband. Even if you don't classify yourself as a feminist, you might, actions speak louder than words. You might come off as being a feminist, which a lot of you do. So that has to change. That whole idea has to change when it comes to relationships and finding someone. Because if you don't change it, then the cycle will continue. You won't get married, won't have children, you'll die alone. Feminism, is it good? Is it working for you? Is it working for society? Are you happy? How do you feel? You're a feminist. Okay. What has it done for you? Stop with the bullshit. Throw that shit out the window. The quicker you do it, the quicker you'll be moving towards a more happier life. Submit. Be number 2. That's what role you're supposed to take. You're number 2. That's what it is. That's how it's set up, ladies. I'm not saying you should be in the kitchen all the time. I'm not saying some of them feminists out there say, oh, you want to just cook and clean. That's not what I'm saying. That's what I mean. A lot of feminists, they do one or the other. Two extremes. I'm not saying that. Shit, I clean, I cook. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that a woman's place is in the kitchen, and now that's some misogynistic bullshit. All I'm saying is a woman's place is number 2. That's her role in the family. And until women is willing women is willing to submit to that and submit to that man and take their role as being number 2, society will still be fucked up because all this feminist bullshit. So, what has feminism done for you, ladies? Are you happier because of it? A lot of you saying, yes, I'm not settling. Okay. I'll see you in the old folks' home. I see you. So, change while you have time. Change while you have time. Some of you, it's already too late. You a couple years from the old folks' home, and I'll see you there, and just wait for me. I'll be there because we're going to have some fun. But some of you still have some time. Throw that feminism bullshit out. It's not working. It is not a good thing and not a good way to think in today's society. It's a bunch of bullshit. And it's ruining this country. It's ruining the notion of a traditional families because nobody's getting married anymore. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm sure a lot of women did not, but you guys got to hear this shit. You got to hear it because nobody's saying nothing to you with all this bullshit, this feminism. But if you did enjoy it, I really appreciate it. Be sure to check out any episodes that you may have missed. You can find that on my website. You can also find my social media. I'm on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find that with the old episodes on my website, which is www.thexyshow.com. You can find everything there. And there's also a store. You can get you a shirt. Show everyone that you're a true X and Y. There's also a place where you can leave me a comment or a recording and any feedback that you feel like doing. So, without further ado, I will see you next week. I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe. Do not drink and drive. And remember that you cannot have love or lust without X and Y. Later.
You've been listening to The X and Y Show with your host, Roosevelt Colbert, the place where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. Join us next time. You can now put your clothes back on. Or not.